Are you guys ready to talk about 1999 Deluxe Edition? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. And we have an amazing series of review videos coming at you for 1999 Deluxe Edition that was just released last week. And I can't wait to go over these amazing tracks and talk about all of them with you. And this video is gonna go ahead and start that off. Before we get into that, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, you know the drill. But I also wanna thank all of our patrons who are supporting the channel on patreon.com/princessfriend. And also let all of you know that December, I am sharing lots and lots of gifts with all of my patrons. So if you want to be a part of that and check out all of the cool stuff that I am sharing, don't forget to go to this link right here, and you can be part of the fun as well. So there's gonna be multiple parts to this review. The last video I did was an unboxing, which I guess I technically count as part 1. But this is the first official part of the review, and in this one we're gonna talk about the remaster of 1999 itself, as well as the disc that contains all the edits and cuts. And then talking about what extra special goodies are in the booklet, and then we're gonna go track by track in the next couple of videos. So if you haven't seen my original review for 1999 that I did, I think 3 years ago, definitely go check that out. I will put a link to that in the description, and I'll give you my breakdown of each of the individual songs. But today we're here to talk about the remastered version of this album. And I have to say, it's really, really good. I think that the balance of the remaster is stellar. Like, all of the instruments are much clearer. I feel like they cleaned up some of the vocals. I feel like parts of the song that I didn't even realize were there are now there. And I'm really, really digging my listen through of 1999, the remastered version. And I've listened to them back to back. Like, here's the regular version, here's the new remastered version, and it is just better. And that's not to say that it was a bad master in the first place, but you know, technology is really amazing nowadays. And I know a lot of people say that just making it louder doesn't make it better, but at the same time, I actually do appreciate the remaster being at a higher level. It means that I can play it as part of my shuffles and whatnot, and the tracks won't feel out of place, because I end up with that a lot when my older Prince tracks pop up. You'll have the volume up here, and then when the older tracks pop up, it gets quiet, and you're just like, why is it quiet? Oh, because it's an older track. So then you turn it back up, and then when that song's over, it goes back to the normal volume, and you're like, ah! The big thing that I felt was a little bit different on this, though, is that on the original 1999, Prince's vocals were pretty much front and center on every single track. But they have actually messed around with some of the balances here. So now, the volume of each of the individual instruments and stuff, yes, you can hear it clearer, but they're raised to a level that I've noticed that a couple of times you aren't hearing Prince's vocals as good as you did on the original cut. Big things that I noticed when I was playing them back to back again, like all the sounds are just much crisper. Like in 1999, at the very beginning, I didn't recognize that there was a bunch of like random cymbal work like right at the beginning. Like it's there on the original, but it's not as clear. The marching in the snow sound at the beginning of Free is just, it makes you feel like you're actually marching in the snow. It makes you feel like you're there, and I love that it, you know, moves from one ear to the other. And again, yes, the original did that too, but it just feels so much cleaner now, and I love that. One of the places where it actually had a little bit of an issue was around the end of International Lover, where the music is like swelling and he's getting excited and he's going, but the music actually starts to swell higher than Prince's vocals. And whereas on the original track, I don't know, I could pretty much understand everything that he was saying. When I was listening to the new remastered version, like his voice was drowned out a bit, and I was like, whoa, that's a little bit of a difference.
We are now making our final approach to satisfaction. Please bring your lips, your arms, your hips into the up to unlocked position. We are now making our final approach to satisfaction. Please bring your lips, your arms, your hips into the up to unlocked position.
don't know, I felt like that was maybe something that could have been just slightly better. I would say on the whole though, that the 1999 remaster is super good. Like, they did a really good job cleaning up this album, making it sound modern with its production value. Even though obviously like Prince's vocals still sound like they were recorded back in the day, all of the music is really crisp, really clean. I love it. It's like really good. They did a good job with this. Now, the second disc of the 1999 remaster covers the promo remixes and the B-sides. And again, these get the full remastered treatment, which is actually one of the cool things of why some of these tracks are included on here, because I was like, well, we have most of these tracks already, but they are also remastered, so they sound really good, and so it is good to have these tracks remastered. However, and I said this in the Purple Rain Deluxe review that I did as well, but literally I listened to this so that I could do this review, and I probably won't ever listen to this again. And it's not because like this is bad to have. There's actually a few differences in some of the promo versions versus the final versions, which I thought was pretty interesting to listen to, but the differences were so slight that they're not that big of a difference that would make me want to go and listen to that one over another. But I was really happy to get a remastered version of How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore, Horny Toad, the Little Red Corvette Special Dance Remix, and Irresistible Bitch. Just having the remastered version of those 4 songs is pretty cool. Now, unlike the Purple Rain Deluxe, where you got longer versions of things, these are literally all like cut and like slightly different versions. So like to me, it wasn't that big of like, ooh, we needed to have this disc, but I feel like they were like, we want to give it the same treatment that we gave to Purple Rain, so let's go ahead and include this because I think people will enjoy it. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, well, this is pretty cool because I can throw the DMSR edit on my playlist for a party instead of the super long version. I can throw this version on, because that's actually a big thing, is like sometimes Prince would have super long songs like Lady Cab Driver and DMSR, and there are shorter versions of those songs now that you can kind of like more easily throw on playlists. So that's a good thing, I guess. So those are the 2 discs. Now, let's go ahead and get into the booklet here. The booklet was pretty cool, and there was something that I didn't notice when I first got it, and that's that there's this cool picture here, but embossed in letters here is 1999 across the front, and I don't even know if you can see that on this camera lens, but it's pretty cool that they have that kind of like as an extra like flair on there. So the first article in here is called The Sky Was All Purple by David Fricke, and it's a pretty cool like summation of Prince during this era and how he released the albums, the response to the album. It was pretty cool to hear like the little summation of each of the tracks that he released as singles. So it was well written. It was slightly overwritten. As a writer, I can tell when you're like, okay, they told me it has to be 500 words and I'm only at 400. Let's throw in tons of really clever descriptions and adjectives. That's just me. I'm just saying that's just me. The second article in this book is called My Mind Says Prepare to Fight, and it was kind of all about how Prince's run-in with the Rolling Stones crowd and how it all went down. Like the other band members and people think that that was actually something that fueled his fire and made him actually become the star that he was. Like, just imagine had he not had to face that adversity early on, like he might be a completely different type of artist nowadays. It's interesting because after that was when he decided he wasn't going to open for anybody, he wasn't going to do any more interviews, so like it was a turning point for him, and it was probably one of those things where it was horrible in the moment, but it was a growing experience. He grew from that. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think that the article itself was written really well by Andrea, though it was less like from Andrea's point of view or anything, and it was more her quoting this person, that person, this person, that person, and kind of combining it all into a really cool article. And it's a good read. I mean, she's really good. It makes me want to pick up her book. Like, it's pretty good. The next part is the lyrics. Now, when I did the unboxing, I was like, oh wow, cool. It's cool to have the lyrics here in his handwriting. But I did run into a slight issue with that, and that's that with the notebook-sized pages being shrunk to half of a CD page, it actually makes it kind of difficult to read. So it honestly almost feels like it's really cool if it was bigger, like how it was in Prince's memoir, but at this size, it's fun to look at, but you can't really like get in there and dissect it without a magnifying glass. I think the only ones that were really clear was the Irresistible Bitch ones because it was on yellow legal pad, and obviously with that kind of background, it makes the words stand out more. And also, he didn't write in cursive the whole time on those. He was writing some of it in block letters and stuff, so it was a little bit easier to read. But on the whole, like, as cool as it is to have that stuff in here, it's kind of illegible in terms of like really enjoying it for what it is. That's just my own personal thought on it. The last article before we get to kind of rundowns and like Dwayne Two Doll's notes on each of the individual vault tracks is the Prince Will Always Live Within Us, and that one is by Duff McKagen, who I couldn't remember what band he was a member of in the last video. Obviously it was Guns N' Roses, and he mentions it several times in this article, and it's mentioned several times other places. I just couldn't remember what band it was when I was recording the last video. But thank you to everybody who came into the comments and let me know. But it was pretty interesting because his article was very much a personal thing. It wasn't even necessarily kind of about Prince, but it was about himself and his relationship with Prince. And a lot of his relationship with Prince was through the music, very much like how mine is and how many of our relationships with Prince was. But he actually did get to run into Prince. He got to meet Prince once and he was completely drunk. And then he also engaged with Prince a second time when Prince asked to use like an article he wrote in one of his tour books and stuff. So, but he was basically like, Prince was an inspiration to all musicians and everybody should look up to this guy, and it was amazing to have him as a part of my life, and he was a friend to me, even if I never met him really in person, except for that one time and I was drunk. And you know what, I really dug it. Like, it was a nice, heartfelt article that you got why Duff McKagen was asked to write that. Like, it wasn't just random that he was on there. Like, he had something to say, and I think that it was really awesome. And again, if somebody like him from a band who is so far removed from Prince is talking about Prince, then that shows you that Prince's reach was much farther than you might have thought previously. The rest of the book is Dwayne Two Doll's notes, so I'm going to end up talking about little bits of Dwayne Two Doll's notes when we go over the vault tracks, but the entire idea here was to not give away the whole booklet. You should read this, you should buy it and have it. You need to read it yourself. I'm just kind of giving you the skinny on what it is, and I thought that it was all pretty well written, and it was a worthy inclusion in this box set. This box set being the 1999 Deluxe box set with all the stuff, and it's really, really cool. I can't wait to get into the next video and talk about the songs themselves, but really we just went through the booklet and the first disc and the second disc, and it's already pretty great. I mean, you know me, like the second disc was kind of but it was cool to get those remastered versions. But the main disc, like if they had just released a remastered 1999, that would have been enough, honestly. Like, it was cool to get all the rest of the stuff, but this album, I think more than any other of Prince's albums, really deserved to get a remaster, and they did a great job with it. But what did you guys think of discs 1, 2, and the booklet for 1999 Deluxe Edition? Let me know about that down in the comments. Also, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so you always know when Prince's Friend releases a new video. Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/princessfriend. Like I said, sharing so many things with my patrons this holiday season. And check us out on social media. That's at PrincessFriendYT on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Otherwise, may you live to see the dawn. I love you all. See you in the next video.